The first thing we're going to talk about here this morning is supplies. So you were given a box of toothpicks. Yours will look different than mine. I picked these up at the grocery store. You were given a box in your supplies for second semester, and that was about 2,500 toothpicks. Notice I only have 750 here. So you were given significantly more toothpicks. You also got a bottle of white glue. The other thing you are going to need is some sort of paper to put your glue on and to start having a place for your items to rest. Optional item. Now again, we did not include this with your supplies, but I know many people do have these at home, would be to have a hot glue gun and some hot glue sticks. We did not give you those. It is optional and you do not need them to complete the project. I actually don't have a hot glue gun here at home. So let's talk about how you are going to start constructing this. With our toothpicks, I am going to open up my box. Notice that these are flat toothpicks. They're not the rounded toothpicks, which I just also happen to have some sitting here at my desk. Rounded toothpicks will not work for this. So there's a round toothpick and there is a flat toothpick. We need the flat toothpicks because they have these wide edges for us to be using. I am going to zoom way in. Okay, so you can really see there's no like wide edge for us if we were to use a round toothpick in this situation, which is why we are going to use the flat toothpick. Now, when we look at our flat toothpicks, one of the things that I want you to notice is that there is one section that is a little bit wider and then one section that is skinnier. When we start to put our toothpicks together, we would like you to take a skinny section and overlap it with a wide section. That is going to give you structurally the strongest frame. If you try to do skinny to skinny, we're going to have areas of weakness when we begin to construct our armature or our main frame. So it's very important that we put wide end to skinny end. The other thing you are going to need is, of course, your glue. And you aren't going to need, I wouldn't put like a ton of glue on your paper. And I usually just put it off to the side here. It's easier to work with smaller amounts of glue rather than. So let's start to make our base structure here, which is one toothpick glued to another toothpick. And the really important thing that we want to remember here, of course, is that we are gluing the skinny end of the toothpick to the wide end. And we'll do that using the regular glue. This is not something you want to do with the hot glue. So even if you do have access to hot glue at home, do not do this part with the hot glue. It doesn't look great in the final product and it's not the intention. So we're going to glue these two sticks to one another. And the idea here is that you need to have a ton of these. These are the base structure for all of your project. So I'm going to grab two toothpicks here. And remember, we always connect a skinny end to a wide end. And I've got just a tiny dab of glue over here. This should be more than enough glue. I'm going to grab that, and we don't need a ton of glue here. More glue is not our friend necessarily. We need enough to hold it. And the idea here is that we're trying to create a straight line. So make sure that these aren't like bent or turned at an angle. Give it a hold for a few seconds and then place on your paper. Try to turn that one over so that it dries nicely. Notice how straight that line is. That is our goal. Now it will take a little bit of time, of course, for these to dry. Again, I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to grab a little bit of glue. Push those two, sandwich them together, hold it for a second. If you find yourself holding these for longer than a few seconds, you're holding them too long. And then you can place them down to dry. Now try not to get the glue touching the paper. So you can see I moved that one away. If they do stick to the paper, you will need to try to carefully remove any extra bits of paper that are stuck. If you happen to be able to raid your mom or dad's kitchen and you find that they have some wax paper or parchment paper, that works really, really well because the glue won't stick to those items. But again, not a requirement. You can just use a plain old piece of scrap paper, even like a shiny advertisement piece of paper from like the Sunday paper works really well. Just something to rest your toothpicks on. And then you're going to need some place to keep these toothpicks nice and safe after they have dried. So find a good location to place your toothpicks that are safe. So if grab an old envelope from the mail and put them in there, or if you can put them back in, find a safe spot in one of your folders or get a little baggie, that is also great. Really try to make sure that that is together before you release them. One of the things that can happen sometimes is you start to get glue on your fingers, or you find that you've put too much glue on your toothpicks and now your fingers are stuck to your toothpicks. I'm going to show you how to deal with that. So like, let's say that you were really pinching this with your fingers completely over the glue, and as the glue kind of dried and hardened, you don't want to like snap your fingers apart, because most likely what you're going to do in that situation is pull the two pieces of wood apart from one another. If you give it a gentle roll, that typically will release that glue and allow you to put it down, and then you can kind of just roll your fingers against one another and remove that excess glue. We don't want to have too much glue on our hands. It just causes all of the items to stick together. So your goal at this point is to create a massive pile of toothpicks. So I mean, you need more than this. This is like the base. This is just what I managed to get done this morning and yesterday afternoon while I was waiting on hold on a phone call. This is a great activity to do while you are watching TV. So, Netflix and binge something, and, get your glue and your toothpicks and just sit there and make toothpick after toothpick after toothpick. You can see how nice they look once they are all together. You may see little extra bits of glue, but way minimal. The amount of glue that we're seeing on those are minimal.